everyone, Coach Tommy here. We're live back at the farm. Pickleball time. It is spring, but I must admit it feels like summer. We've got our first guest of the summer classic, we'll call that, as we head into the beloved summer months of the Burrs. So we've got school being out, and while we get into that, I want to make sure that we introduce our guest that we have here. It's a couple. It's I think this might be our first couple outside of Tommy and Melinda, if I'm not mistaken, that have been on here. So Kip and Chrissy, tell these people who you are and a little bit about your background on how you got into the world of pickle.
Okay, well, I'm Krissy. I actually started kind of not wanting to start. My dad kind of pushed us to get this. I have tennis background, played for about 20 years in tennis, started really young, played all through my younger days, played through high school, did a little bit after graduating high school, played some tournaments and league stuff after our daughter turned about 2 or 3 years old. So there's a little gap there, but got back into it. Then it was a struggle for me to play tennis. I had, unfortunately, had family and life just happened and struggled with weight and just wasn't comfortable being out on the tennis court. Couldn't move, couldn't really play anything. So made a decision that I wasn't going to play, which was probably a bad decision. And then almost 5 years ago, I had decided I'm going to do gastric bypass surgery.
Okay.
And that helped me, gave me the push that I needed with all of the struggles that I had. And so tried to get back into tennis after that. But some of the recovery and other things needed along the way just did not... It wasn't working for me. I was getting frustrated. I couldn't get to the ball. I couldn't do this. I couldn't do that. And my dad said, "Hey, I'm playing pickleball. I want you to come and join us." We were going on a family vacation and kind of threatened that if we didn't bring pickleball paddles that we weren't going to enjoy vacation with him. So it was kind of a joke. But we got out there. We played, us two and my parents. And our daughter as well. And we had a blast. In fact, him and Kip and my dad, they played singles for hours.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll give you a chance to breathe. It was July 27th, 2023.
Yeah.
July 27th.
At Fripp Island, South Carolina. And we've been going to Fripp for 30 years. And they've always been a big tennis setting. Had big tennis tournaments down there. And they had... I think 8 pickleball courts that they converted.
6 maybe,
maybe 6.
Like that.
And there were people on them until the sun went down, literally playing. They would try to play even when the sun went down. And Mike, her father, he said, "Hey, come play pickleball with me." And I was like, "Okay, I'll give it a try." She needed to get steps in. And I was starting to say, "Hey, maybe this will help me too." And him and I played singles that night for 2 hours. Loved every minute of it. Woke up the next morning, thought I was dying. We played again the next day for another 2 hours, and been on it ever since.
Yeah. We came back. We invested in some little better paddles other than the Amazon special.
Sure. That's a lot to unpack there. So very similar story. Minus, the whole tennis background and stuff of the gastric bypass to get you guys work. But let me navigate so many things on this. So first and foremost, you guys do play together as a couple. I've played against you. Like how does that work?
We leave it on the court.
You leave it on the court.
We try to.
We try. I think we provide some comedy for people around us. He used to yell "why" to me a lot. I purchased the shirt just to eliminate that.
It says why on it.
It says why.
Nice.
There were some great people when we started at Laurel. And they helped us, and I was nervous to not play with him because I didn't really know anyone. Everyone was nice, but I was just really kind of stuck in a shell. And I wanted to always be on the court with him, but then suddenly realized that, he's a little stronger than I am. He can take on the stronger, the harder hitters, and I'm not at that level yet. So, the ladies there have been great, and we kind of just group together, and
Yeah, there was
it's
an
nice.
excellent crew there.
Yeah, it's
At
nice
least
to
2
be able
years
to
ago. Shout
rotate.
out to Dan Gardner. He was the first male that I played with.
Okay.
And, he was like, hey, you got to come in after you hit your return. He was super cool.
Right.
And I could tell I was, playing up a little bit
Sure.
with them. Yeah, everybody was super welcoming. I mean,
Yeah.
we would come home just drenched in sweat, jump in the pool,
Right.
and be ready to play the next day. It was
Yeah, I
rough.
feel like, one of the things that we are all very much beneficiaries of is having a group like Laurel, because it is such a diverse,
Sure.
group to have in such a small setting, because you really do have the beginners all the way up to the 4.5s plus. Like, we have
Yeah.
a handful of 5.0s. We've got some pros that are actually like, it's a really cool atmosphere. But more importantly than that is the culture of that particular area is unique, right? Like, we
So
brag about
much.
it a lot. I don't necessarily know if it is something that is looked upon as much and as, I guess, as big as it should, of how important the social aspect of this is. Like, here we are on a podcast now. We've got a married couple that aren't punching each other in the face and worrying about bills and worrying about the kids and so many things that we're all struggling with on a day-to-day basis. When you have a game that can, and we've said this a lot on our podcast, but it really does give you like a bit of escapism, right? It gives you the
does.
ability
Yeah.
to
It
kind of like
does.
hang your paddle, hang your bag in the fence. Now you're going to compete a little bit. The blood's going to be flowing, the dopamine, all that stuff's going to get rocking and rolling. But what's even more impressive about this is you get to do it with your honey bunny, like, right?
Sure.
Like, and you get that whole competitive thing, and we want to win, and I get that. But I do think it is a very healthy way that couples, and not all couples, hear me when I say not all couples, but
yeah.
a lot of couples have figured out that this is a hobby or a healthy out that they can do together that increases their physicalness, which is great. It gives them some competitiveness. And most importantly, it sounds crazy, but their social stuff, like the way that you guys have to socially and communicate on a court,
Yeah.
has to be an improvement, you know what I mean, on your
Yeah.
relationship, right? Because you're doing things that matter.
Yeah, and a little pro tip, whatever you want to call it, is have this is going to sound funny, but have your affairs lined up for what you're going to do after your pickleball session before you start.
Got
If
it.
dinner's on the
His biggest concern is dinner.
If dinner's up for discussion,
Right.
just kind of make those plans before you start
Got
playing.
it.
You don't want your play to get impacted with the dinner. It's difficult sometimes. I'll let the cat out of the bag. She is super competitive.
Sure.
And
No.
we'll do just regular open play, and she's like, we're not losing. And I'm like, sometimes losing's good. It's okay. And my strategy, my analytical mind says, drop every ball.
Right.
And she's like, yeah, no.
Right.
And so it's, I think how you look at the play session, and we'll probably talk about that a little bit more later, but one thing is playing with couples, you got to be on the same page.
Yes.
Yes. It at least from, hey, where we're going, what we're going to do for strategy.
Yeah, and we can navigate that path, because I definitely feel like there is definitely strategy to it.
Sure.
There's also skill set to it. There's also, like Krissy said earlier, there really is where I have seen as a coach, and one of the challenges that I see in couples, and I don't mean this in just couples, I mean this in partnerships, is you will have certain players, obviously, that will grow faster. And it could be because they are physically better. It could be they're mentally better. It could be a little combination of both.
Yep.
Heck, it could be the fact that Kip goes home and watches YouTube videos for 3.5 hours on how to hit the drop
you
shot.
tell him?
And Krissy
Now I was
does
gonna
it.
ask you the same thing.
So, I mean, all of those are legitimate reasons as to, because now your understanding on the
Yes.
game is different than
Yes.
hers. And
Yes.
then when she goes to play with you tomorrow, she's going to be like, why in the world is your mindset so different than me? Well, I was on YouTube for 4.5 hours watching Ben Johns hit third shot drops. You know what I mean?
So I
we've
fall
got it now.
asleep to hearing the pickleball on back
I
and
love
forth
Yeah.
on
And I-
his iPad. Or
I can combat her Facebook reels of cats and dogs
Right,
every
right,
day
right.
with pickleball shots.
Right.
So it's an interesting banter for sure.
I think it has a lot to do with just the way that men are, and not all men. This is not, don't DM me on this. Good God. But we are so linear, right? Like, we get so linear mindset to where, like, it's one focal point. Like, I want to be a 4.0 player. So now everything that you do in your life, you're at work with engineering and you're freaking bouncing the ball. We're so linear. Whereas ladies typically are circular. They have 4,700 things going around at the same
Absolutely.
exact time. And we don't care about the laundry. We don't care about about food. We don't care about the kids. The kids could be starving, but if my drop shot's not right, I'm outside working on my drop shot, right? Like
Yeah.
that's how, unfortunately, or should I say fortunately in some ways, that we are wired.
Sure.
But I do think that it is a very healthy habit that couples could get into for so many different reasons. And if it becomes to get competitive and you start, strifing or having, then yeah, you got to know when to turn that. But
Yeah.
I have seen and played with you guys enough that it has not done anything but alarm me, and it kind of makes me smile. I wish that my wife and I played more together. My wife suffers, unfortunately, from plantar fasciitis at this moment, so it's
Oh.
brutal. So, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
her feet literally hurt, but she's actually a solid hand-eye coordinated point guard in basketball. So, like, she
Wow,
has the
nice.
ability to do the feet work. I'm hoping and praying that she can get healthy so that the Welches can get on there and battle the Sterchis
Sure,
very,
sure.
very, very soon. So let's talk shop a little bit. Krissy, we'll start with you. What is the biggest reservation that ladies are facing getting to a court for the first time? Because everybody has it, right? Nobody wants to acknowledge it, but you going to a court and never knowing the game, never touching a racket, aka, paddle.
Paddle, yeah.
What can we do? What is your advice for folks and ladies especially that are out there that have heard about this pickleball thing? They have, obviously, everybody somehow, some way now has at least heard the word, you know what I mean? Whether it be through their
Sure.
church or whatever it may be. What do you think is something that you can give them a tip on? Just take the first step and go out there and try it.
Well, I actually have some ladies at my office who, as I'm talking about
Sure.
pickleball, they're like, we want to try it. And I was like, great. Well, first, know the rules. At
Okay.
least have a good foundation in the rules.
Okay.
Don't come out there
Blind.
blind, because the more knowledge you have, the better you will feel after you play. Even if you just get out there and just hit a little over the net, do some drilling. Don't come out there expecting that you're going to win
Kick
a
butt,
game
yep.
or anything like that. And have fun.
Okay.
Just one thing, you're sitting in your office and you're like, oh, when is this 8-hour day going to end?
Sure.
Doing pickleball is actually, it gives me something to look forward to at the end of the day. I know I'm going to get my exercise in. I
Sure.
know that, I'm going to be able to do it with him. So, just have some knowledge of it and know that it's a positive thing that you're adding to your life. And
I think it's great. I think one of the things that I have seen, and I'm seeing a lot more of this, and I think we're going to see a lot more of it too, is the workplace. Like the workplace taking the lead and the point on whoever. So if it's Krissy or if it's Kip or if it's Tommy or if it's Sean or whoever it is that may have an inkling into pickle, kind of being the tip of the sword of starting something to where now you've got Margaret, you've got Karen, and you've got Kevin who've never tasted this thing, but they go with you. So now you've got somebody somehow that has the ability to pick up that awkwardness. It's kind of like at church, right? Like that whole shake each other's hand at the beginning of the service is really awkward for a lot of people. Pastors don't acknowledge that enough, but it really is like the first time that somebody may have said hello to a stranger that entire week, which is sad, but it's the world that we unfortunately live in, to where it's just not as hospitable, I think, as it used to be, if I can use that. And I think pickle is a really big way that you can bridge that gap. So if you are an employer or you are a owner or you're a business owner, or if you're a leader of some sort, or if you are in pickle, I think you taking the tip of the sword and getting a little group, and I'm not saying you orchestrate a 16 or 18 or 20 person group. I'm saying you take 3 people to a court and you literally bring a couple paddles and you show them the ropes. I think you'd be amazed at how much that socially is going to soothe your soul and help somebody get on a pickleball court.
I've actually done that as a team building within my department at
Have you
work.
really?
Yeah. I work with all guys.
Okay.
And so we did. They all live out in the Mount Pleasant area.
Sure.
And so I took the initiative and I booked courts for us at Crush Yard and
Wow.
took them all out there.
I think that right there we could do entire podcasts on, because of just how healthy that is just for your soul. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like legitimately, I'm like, you win, lose, or draw. I don't, at that point, I don't care. You're doing something that, in all honesty, those guys or gals, hopefully, are going to do something that they may have been reserved about. And who knows, it might light a spark to where they end up becoming, the best pickler in our area. That's great. But more so than that, it's doing that. It's giving them an opportunity. Now Kevin can go home and be like, hey, babe, I know this is going to sound crazy, but you want to go pickle, you want to go pickle tomorrow night. I got to tell you, the more of this and the more couples and the more that we have the social aspect of there's just something different about seeing eyeballs in front of you on a pickleball court when you're competitively playing somebody, but more importantly, the social aspect of you getting involved in a group that you didn't even know. How many people do you know now, Kip
Oh my gosh.
and Krissy, that you know now?
Wow.
It's shocking to look in my phone at who I've called or who I've texted with, or in just the cross, right? There's so many different demographics, dynamics, whatever you want to say.
I mean, black, white, red, orange, rich, poor, heavy, light.
8 to 80 years old.
And we were homebodies. Like, we really didn't get out and socialize. Him more than me.
Okay.
But, it's,
It
when
really
you can
does.
combine the social and the playing together, it's just such a happy
traveled.
balance.
All the way down from the Keys. We spent a couple weeks down there after Christmas.
Okay.
We played almost every day down there with
People
multiple
that you didn't know.
Yeah.
We had no
that
idea.
You now know now.
Yeah.
And we walked in and shout out to Laurel Street Talent. We played pretty good.
Oh, there you go.
Krissy,
Yeah.
There it is.
and
There it is.
I've not told too many people that, but I'm super, super proud and super thankful for how we kind of got started and the folks we got to get started with.
Sure.
By the time we were leaving, people were asking to play with her. One, because she's a lefty.
Right.
But two, she could carry herself. And that was nice.
Yeah, I think, again, we could do entire podcasts on this, but I do think at the end of the day, like, you owe it to yourself. If you're listening to this podcast, you owe it to yourself. If you are a pickler, which hopefully you are if you're listening to this podcast, and if you're not, you need to go try it and find out what you're missing, because just the social aspect of it alone, I'd say, realistically, and you guys can attest to this, when you're 35 plus, you're not really in the friend-making game anymore. Does that make sense?
hard.
Like, you've got
hard. People are busy.
70,000 things
And
going on.
patterns in life have been established in some cases. Sure,
It's
absolutely.
really difficult. But now, and I'm sure that you both can attest, I'm in your phone, you're in my phone, you're at my farm, and this is not the first time you've been to my farm. You guys and I see each other literally almost every other day, every other third day, somehow, some way.
Yeah.
You're building a home. Like, I know things about you because you are legitimately a friend of mine because of pickleball.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because of pickleball.
So very true.
Yeah.
One thing I would pass on to anyone getting started is the first couple times you walk on the court, you get, you're playing open play, you're playing random play and you don't know who your partners are or anything like that. Be sure to tell them, hey, I got started like 2 weeks ago.
Sure.
Or a month ago. And the reason why is, specifically with us,
We'll
if
split.
we'll split,
Right.
to kind of make it a little bit more even. We'll help those people if they're receptive to it. Just the simple little basics: coming in after hitting your return, staying after we serve. A few of those little things have changed a lot of folks' game, and it's helped. It just helps you blend a little better.
Couldn't agree more. I feel like it's tact.
Yeah.
Right? It's tact. It's tact because it is relational. Open play is literally, and no matter what level you are, you could be the 5-0 to the beginner. If you're in open play, there are things that you can work on. You don't necessarily have to be there to win this game in order to get better. So don't get frustrated. I get you. I hear you. I'm here to get better. I hear you. I do. But at the end of the day, when you're in open play formats, just kind of remember, have a little grace. You were probably there a lot sooner than what you thought. You know what I mean? Like, you got to remember back when you came on and you had no idea what 002 was,
And
right?
the scores,
It's complicated. It's
I
funky.
think for a month, I remember telling people, hey, I started like 3 weeks ago. Just help me with the score if you could.
Yeah.
That was
My tip of the day on people on this is, and this is going out to all of you, on a pickleball court at any given time, there are 3 people who have no idea what the score is, but there's always one who does. I assure you, there is somebody on that court who knows what that score is, and I promise you the other 3 have no clue.
Yeah.
So if that is keeping you from getting on the court of the funky scoring of pickle, please don't. I promise you, you will get through it. It is a little complicated, and it's complicated to everybody. You are not alone. You guys agree?
It
No,
is, yeah.
absolutely,
Especially
yeah.
when we started to explore stacking.
Yes.
Oh.
That
yeah.
really.
Yeah, that's a whole new avenue
Yeah,
there.
with the lefty, that's a birth that you have to get really quick.
Yeah.
You definitely have to get quick. Yeah. Well, let's talk some tack. Let's talk some shop. Hopefully, we can help some people. So fundamentally, let's walk us through what level of play are you guys at right now? If we were rating you from a 2.0 to a 5.0, Kip, where are you at right now?
4.25.
4.25. Krissy?
According to Duper.
Yep, according to Duper.
According to Duper, 2.90.
2.90. 2.90. So, what are we working on right now, Mr. 4.25? And what is your goal of life of pickle? Or do you have a goal? Where are you trying to go?
So what I'm working on is a little bit more back to basics.
Okay.
I feel like you grow a little bit and you find yourself maybe taking a little different strategy approach, right? And
Okay.
you really start to stretch. And I think I'm in that position now where I'm stepping back a little bit to focus a little bit more on the basics. We've done some lessons. One just last week with Joey Farias.
Yeah,
and that was phenomenal.
Shout out Joey.
Yeah,
who's probably across the world in Taiwan right now or something. God
I think
knows where
New
he
York
is.
City.
New York City.
Yeah.
Shout out Joey in New York City.
Yeah, he was going to New York and then
Great.
heading back to Australia or New Zealand, something.
Great,
Yeah.
great guy.
Yeah.
Great guy. It was awesome. If you ever get an opportunity to do a lesson with someone who's really got that depth of knowledge,
Sure.
how they see the ball is it's just phenomenal.
Yeah, it's different, right?
Yeah, and something that he really kind of brought up, he helped us a lot with strategy of coverage. I think the one thing I'm focusing on is get the ball in play. Keep the ball in play.
Keep the ball in play.
Next shot.
Okay.
I'm playing for the next ball right now. And if I make a bad shot because I've adopted that philosophy, I'll deal with that.
You're okay with it. Yep.
But I don't want to necessarily be the one that kills the point because I didn't adopt the philosophy of let's make it to the next shot.
I love that. So you're literally just, it's one more ball, right?
One
It's
more
one
ball.
more ball.
100%.
It's one more ball.
100%.
Krissy, what are you working on, babe? Where you at?
I am working on my drops.
You're working on your drop.
I'm trying to perfect my drip.
Your drip.
Someone showed her the drip, and now she has an excuse.
Yeah.
Sweet mother of God.
No, I like him. I want to get back to the basics.
Okay.
I find that I win more points.
Yeah.
But I'm also the person who is in the middle of the rally saying, please don't hit the ball to me. I don't want to be the one that messes this beautiful rally up.
I got you.
It's there's a lot. I try to go on the court more now with a more clear mind, not thinking about what I'm feeding him for dinner,
Sure.
Stuff like that. Just and the more that I allow myself to have fun on the court, and not be so competitive, I think the better I do. So
I think that, man, we could talk about that forever. And as a coach, it's one of the biggest things. And even as you guys know, competitive player as well. And I'm out there and I'm trying to do the very best I possibly can at any given shot. But I also have to make sure that like the expectations have to be realistic to where I am legitimately I want to err on the side of fun and having a great time on my pickleball court with my partner than I want to be winning.
Absolutely.
I talk a lot about that with my ball players as well, but I do think that you can wake up one day and not play. And that scares me way more than did I lose this match that we're in right now, or did I lose this tournament that we should have won? So I know perspective is always in the eye of the beholder, right? Like I understand that, but being where I'm at in the position of entrusted players and students, and I really want to make sure what you said that we kind of hit on the head of having realistic expectations, but also having expectations that we're here just to legitimately have a great time, move them legs, get our blood flowing, see great people, enjoy God's weather. Like that to me is the overall big part of this. Whether we win, lose, or draw on the 0-11, I get it, but don't get consumed by it. You guys agree?
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it's so easy to do because we're vested, right? You're on YouTube at 2:00 in the gastric morning. You're invested in this thing.
We seem to have this discussion at least once a week.
Yeah.
And it's how much time are we devoting? Are we getting what we want out of it yet? And it's always yes.
Right.
And sometimes it's, hey, let's take a couple days off.
Sure.
And by the end of that couple days off, it's
you got the itch again. Yeah,
the itch is there.
Yeah, you got the itch
yeah,
again.
we don't want to lose our love for it, considering we're planning on building our own court.
I definitely agree, and that's one of the things I think for a while that was one of the that was one of the MOs and the stereotypes that I was hearing, especially as we were navigating facilities and all that kind of stuff. Like, is it going to die? Right? Like is because you get the love of pickleball so quick and you get the addiction to pickleball so quick, is it going to be where you can put the paddle down and not worry about it?
Tommy, I think you've talked about this an awful lot. It's the youth.
Agreed.
The youth love it.
I agree.
When they come, we see it at Laurel. We're starting to see a lot more youth, and they adapt so fast.
100%.
Shout out to RJ and Lance.
Yeah.
I remember
Studs.
playing with those guys when they first started.
A year ago.
Yeah.
And
And their athleticism, their feet will get them places,
Sure.
their paddle can just take over from there.
I agree.
And the youth, I think the youth is what keeps this going. I don't think it'll die.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting when I'm having this conversation, over the next course of a couple months and a year from now when we start, because we actually shout out to Helena where you're at, but we've got our first junior that's coming on our podcast here very
Nice.
soon.
Oh, love that little girl.
Yeah, I think she's, how old is Helena?
12.
10,
10,
12. So
10,
she's
yeah.
she's
Uh,
under 12
sorry,
years
What
old.
Helena.
grade are you in fourth grade? Because I'm friends with
Yeah,
friends with
she's
mine.
12.
She's just finished fourth
She's
Finishing
grade.
young.
fourth grade. She's great. Traveling all over the place.
Super young.
Now she's getting into strengthening
Yeah, she's
her
on
body.
strength and conditioning stuff now. So
Yeah.
she's actually kind of leaning into, taking it to the next level, which is great. And by the way, regardless of where she goes with her pickleball journey, how good is that for her?
Absolutely.
Right? So now she's
Absolutely.
learning how to
100%.
like physically train her body and what it looks like in order to do things that they're not. I don't care. I have played sports at every level there is, and I promise you there is still not one day where I'm like, yes, I get to go lift weights. It is never that feeling. It is, yes, I'm getting to lift weights so that I get to hit a baseball tomorrow farther than other people. Or,
Sure.
yes, I have to constantly tell myself why I'm doing this because of what I want. So good for her that she's getting that physical and that mental discipline. And that's a shout out to anybody that's out there doing the same exact thing. We had Connor Derrickson on a couple pods ago. The pickleball trainer, he's a freaking stud. And he's got online programs. So if you're really looking in order to truly shape your body and get your physicalness so that you can play better on the pickleball court, it's going to take that, right? Because the levels now are growing exponentially faster. And like you just said, there will not be a year or two that passes where youth pickleball is not a travel sport. It is not a thing that we are all talking about and seeing on Facebook where you have your 8s and your 10s and your 12s and your 14Us that are taking over pickle. It is coming.
Yeah, I think once they navigate the age and skill level, like
Parity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
When you can have a 12-year-old that's essentially a 4-5.
Right.
Because I think they're seeing that maybe out in Southern California,
Sure.
maybe down in Florida too, where it's super heavy.
Yep.
Yeah, that's going to be a weird
It's
thing.
tough, right? Because you might have a 14-year-old who's a 3-0, but then you have Helena who's a 12 who's a 4-0. You know what I mean? So that parity of age, and we see it in travel baseball too. We have to deal with it as well. It's one of those things you kind of navigate, but I do think the more availability of the courts, then you'll have access for parity because now you don't have to do groupings that don't make sense. You know what I mean? Like having a 2-0 with a 4-0 is going to be really tough. You know what I mean? So, but I am excited for that as well. This has been awesome. We can sit here and talk shop to you guys all day long. So here's what we're going to do.
We might melt.
We're gonna follow up with you guys here. Definitely make sure we get you on the pod again so we can see where your journey is. 6 months or a year out from now. But to end us, to get us to the beloved exit.
Get ready to dive into a world of greatness with Smashing Plastic Pickleball. Elevate your game and look good doing it. From beginners to pros, we've got gear for every player. But that's not all. Planning an event? Let our experienced team make it a smashing success. Want to improve your skills? Our certified PPR professionals offer top-notch coaching, clinics, and lessons for all levels. Don't you wait. Experience the greatness of Smashing Plastic Pickleball today. Visit our store, join our events, and unleash your pickleball passion.
Give us one coach's tip. We'll call you now Coach Krissy and Coach Kip. You've been titled and deemed because title here is everything. Give us one tip of the day that you want these folks in, we'll go Albuquerque. How about Al out in Albuquerque is going to hear this? What is one tip, Coach Kip, that you want to give folks?
You want me to go?
Yeah, you go
We'll
first.
with you.
All right, so I learned this one just recently. Joey passed it on
Joey?
to us.
Okay.
I was like, where do I look when she rattles off a return?
Okay.
Because sometimes I don't know. And he said, watch the ball. Watch your partner's ball.
Okay.
And Joey, if I mess that up, please correct us in the comments.
Right.
But what I remember of it was I need to watch her ball. Because then I asked him, I said, hey, do I need to be watching their paddle face? Do I need to be watching their shoulders? What is it? He said, watch that ball.
So I want to piggy on that because I learned this same exact thing many moons ago when I was down in Hilton Head. I heard and to this day do to where when I am in the receiving end, I am always watching ball on service and return. So even if I have to turn my body, how many times have you served to somebody where they're blindly just staring at you? You know what I mean? Like
that was
so
where it drove
turn your
home.
body. So
Yeah,
if you're
yeah.
on the receiving end, make sure that you can turn your body
100%.
so that you have the angle to see where the where your partner is actually placing the paddle to help the ball too. Don't just be blindly staring at the in front of you, and then you see the ball go over your head, and you're like, crap, here we go.
Yeah.
Kip's about to drive the ball through
Yeah,
my
yeah.
forehead right now.
Yeah.
So make sure that you alternate your body and always keep your eye on the ball and the returns and the serves. That's a great tip.
Yeah.
All right, Krissy, Coach Krissy, right here at the farm, greatest tip in the history of the world for pickle. What do you got?
Do not pop the ball up with
sweet
your
mother.
partner.
Yes, sweet mother of God.
Do not set your partner up to get hit. Oh my gosh.
It's awful, right?
Oh, the bruises.
Yeah, it's awful. How do we do that? What are you doing right now to work on you not popping the ball up?
Moving my feet more, getting
your
to the
feet.
ball.
Okay.
And just the way that I'm holding the paddle and the way that you finish,
Yeah, to piggy on that, some of the things that I especially see with tennis players that you guys are naturally taught to do at a young age is you always get to the side of the ball, right? Like you're taught to circle and get the side of the balls,
Yeah.
right? In pickle, it's different, right? Because pickle, we actually want the opposite of that because especially when we're at the kitchen line, we're always in front, right? Like your paddle's always in front. So here's where I'm at with that. If your paddle's out in front, right? You're at the kitchen line, your paddle's out in front, you have to really make the determination of whether you are getting the ball out of the air or you're going to allow the ball to hit. Here's my tip for you to piggy on hers. If the ball is directly at you, coming directly at you, I'm going to let that ball bounce, and then I'm going to make sure that I take the ball out of the bounce to make it go the direction that I want. I'd never take a ball that's coming at directly in front of me where my paddle's out of the air because that causes pop-up. However, if you have me going right or left with my paddle and I'm at the kitchen line, then I'm taking the ball out of the air. That is your tip on how not to pop up. Ball directly in front of you in the kitchen line, seriously, let it bounce, take it out of the air, go to the right or to the left, or if you want to drop center, that's fine too. Ball to the right of you or to the left of you when you're at the kitchen line, then you're allowed to take it out of the air. So the angle of the paddle allows you not to pop it up.
Golden.
All right.
Golden.
Love you guys long time. Excited for your journey. Krissy, you look absolutely phenomenal. How many pounds are you down? What are we at? Sweet mother of God. Tell these people, where's this journey gone from? Where are we at?
So I originally, my heaviest weight was 354 pounds. So I'm down over 200 pounds.
200 pounds down. Now, obviously, not all pickle, right?
No,
but a lot.
no.
Yeah, diet, for sure.
We have eliminated bread, rice, potato, pasta, and sugar out
Everything
of our
that's holy.
everything that is so
It's gone.
holy, and you get that little craving, and there are times that I let my cravings and then I pay for it.
I get it.
So, but it's just.
It's one day at a time.
Yeah, it's one day at a time.
It's one meal, one day, and one pickleball shot. Because now, I'm assuming you think about this, you getting to balls now has to be a lot different than when you're 200 pounds heavier. Sweet mother of God.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
You had a car on you before you went to get that ball.
So we do bottled water.
Okay.
And they're 40 pounds apiece, and we get 4 at a time. And she pushes the buggy. And it's always kind of a reminder. That's 160 pounds.
Yeah. Go get that side shot with this shopping cart on you.
Yeah, it's something else.
That is insane.
Really
Krissy, good for you. Holy
Thank you.
freaking crap. High five, cheek. Oh my gosh. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Kip, you've got a rock star. I know you know that. You way outkicked your punt coverage.
I did.
And excited to have you guys back on the pod. You guys have fun?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah,
Good deal.
absolutely.
All right, guys. Smashing Plastic podcast out. Looking forward to some more of our folks over the summer. Hope you guys are out there smashing those courts. And please make sure you smash that like button. See you guys soon. Coach Tommy out. Hey everyone, Coach Tommy here. Thanks for tuning in to Smashing Plastic. Big shout out to Sean Monahan for the music, production, and editing. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe for more awesome content, and be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Those links are in the description. Now let's get out there and smash some plastic.